Hello, everyone. My name is Marissa Henderson, and today I'm going to demonstrate how to import an estimate in order to set up a job in Acumatica. And I want to give you a little disclaimer before we get started, and just keep in mind that during this demonstration, I'm going to be showing you common construction processes. So I want you to be aware of that. If you see something different than what you do as an organization, we're just using common terms that you see in the construction industry, okay? All right, so let's get started here. We're in our project screen and we're on a blank project, and we're going to start by filling out our summary section, which is this section right here. My project ID. I have this little new indicator right here that's letting you know that the system is going to auto generate the next project identification number. So I'm going to start here at the customer field. So I'm going to choose my customer, and I'm choosing Baker Development, and I'm going to give it a description. So oops. Now I'm going to come down here to my summary tab, and I'm going to define in the system how I want to see my revenue budget as well as my cost budget. I have a few options. I can create a task and a cost code, task and an item, task, item, and a cost code. So what you're basically telling the system, how do you want to see your budgets? What level of detail? The basic level of detail is a task. A task in Acumatica can be anything you'd like it to be according to how you guys do business. So it can be a phase. It can be a milestone. It can be something that may say something like interiors, exteriors. It could be something like a division. If you guys have 16 divisions within your organization, it could be division 1, 2, 3, etc. A cost code, standard across the construction industry. So for example, if I have a task called plumbing, I can have a task and a cost code that would say something like plumbing faucets as my cost code. I can do an item. An item is an inventory item. Inventory in Acumatica can either be non-stock items or it can be stock items. Stock items are just that, things that we hold in our organization and we sell to our customers. It could also be a non-stock item. So maybe it's services that you offer. Maybe you offer temp labor. Maybe you offer surveying, whatever the case may be. Keep in mind the non-stock inventory item in Acumatica is a very flexible tool. You can use it in a lot of different ways, including doing things like time cards in the system, expenses in the system, and it's used across a lot of different modules. Okay, so for today's purposes, we're just going to use task and cost code. And we're just going to build out a basic project. So I'm going to bill as I want to by using on demand, not necessarily every week or every month. And then I'm going to tell the system how I want to build the project. What billing rule am I going to use? So I'm going to use progress billing because I'm going to bill a percentage on demand. Once I'm done filling out my summary tab, just with the basic information, I'm going to come here to my task tab. My task tab allows me to click the plus sign, and now I can distinguish those tasks if it's going to be a milestone, a division, a phase, etc. However, you don't have to do this manually. You can also come here and use this add common task feature. Add common tasks allows you to build out the common tasks that you have in your company and use them at will. So you don't have to actually recreate the wheel every single time you build out a project. You can click on the tasks that you wish to use, and now you have them already set up for you. As you can see here, your status is showing in planning for each one of these tasks. When you have that in the system, it's letting you know that you set up your project, but you cannot bill against any of those tasks. They have to actually be active before you can do that. Now you can manually go through and double click and activate all these, or you can click activate tasks and activate them all at once. Now that our tasks are updated and in the system, we're going to come over here to our revenue budget and we're going to import our budget. So when you're in Acumatica, you have the option, if you see these little buttons, the load records from file and export to Excel in order to do that. It is a nice feature. You can come over here and click the plus sign. This takes this out of the grayed out status, and you can take this button and build out a template. It will give you an Excel spreadsheet with every single one of these columns on it. So you can use that as your template for billing out projects in Acumatica. You don't have to use that. You can go ahead and use whatever estimating Excel spreadsheet that you currently use and just simply load those records from file. If you do it that way, you just want to keep in mind to map that information. I'm going to show you what that looks like here shortly. Once I click my load records from file, I'm going to click choose file. And I'm going to choose my file here for my estimates and click upload. Once you do, your common settings little pop-up window shows up. Just go ahead and click OK. And now you have a columns pop up. This is going to show you under column name, the names of these different columns in this particular screen. So you have your project task, account group, etc. The property names are the names from the Excel file that you just uploaded into the system. So like I said, if you don't want to use the actual export template from the system, you can use your own estimating template from Excel and double click in here and just tell the system what it is. So for example, if you're using your own estimating tool and you're using divisions, for example, and the column name says divisions, you're just going to double click on here and make sure that division is where you're mapping to go to the project task. Okay. Now that you have that in there, you're going to click OK. And now I have my budget showing up for me. Okay, you can see my project tasks is in here. My account group that I'm using, this is all under the schedule of values. So it's all under my revenue budget and the descriptions that I have for my spreadsheet as well as my budgets. Once you're finished, you can go on over here to the cost budget. Keep in mind, you don't have to do it in this order. You can do your cost budget before you do your revenue budget, but I'm just going in order. Now, in Acumatica, if you would like to use your own import templates in order to build out your budgets, you want to make sure that you keep in mind that whatever you use, the first tab is the one that's going to pull into the system. So for example, if I have an estimating tool and I have 5 or 6 tabs, as I'm going in, if I have a tab for my task, because you can also upload via the task tab, and I have one for my revenue budget as well as my cost budget, I don't have to have 3 different Excel spreadsheets. I can have one spreadsheet. However, the first tab is the only tab the system will pick up. So in that case, I'm going to move my cost budget over here, click Save, and I'm going to click and do the same thing. I'm going to pull in my file. And once I click upload, go through my same steps. And this time it's actually going to pull in my cost budget. So over here, we saw my revenue budget, and here we see our cost budget. Okay, so you don't have to have multiple tabs. You can have one, or excuse me, you don't have to have multiple Excel spreadsheets. You just have to have one, but you just simply have to make sure that the tab that you're pulling in is the first one. Once you have your budget built out, the very last thing you need to do is come over here and set up a default sales account, whatever your revenue account is. Click Save. Those are the basic steps you need in order to create a budget, or not a budget, but create a project in the system with an import for your budgets. And the last step is actually activating your project. So once your project is activated, like we talked about earlier, along with your task being activated, now you're able to build on this job. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we will see you in the next video.